There's a one number sitting on a very small number of desks on Wall Street right now. Not 20,000, not 50,000, a multiplier, and by the time this video's over, you're going to know exactly what it is and exactly why it should be on your desk, too. August 10th, Florida's governor's office puts out an official press release about the future of transportation. They talk about Robotaxis at length, and the word Tesla doesn't appear once, not once. No cybercab. Instead, one company fills that entire space. Waymo. But here's the real twist. The money quietly moving right now isn't going to Waymo, and it isn't going to Tesla either. It's going to Uber, a Saudi sovereign wealth fund, and an EV company with a market cap under $2 billion, Lucid. In the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly where that money starts, where it ends up, and that number I just mentioned, the one that tells you who actually controls this story. The second someone says Robotaxi stock, Tesla's the first name that pops into your head. It's a reflex at this point. But open an actual state government document, and the story flips. Throughout all of 2025, Tesla logged 0 autonomous test miles in California. 0. It hasn't even applied for the state's higher-level driverless permits. Waymo, meanwhile, is running roughly 500,000 paid robotaxi rides per week across the U.S., with more than 20 million lifetime rides completed. That gap isn't about whose tech is better. It's about who governments recognize as a legitimate policy partner. And whoever gets that recognition, the money follows. Why watch this all the way through? Because right now this market isn't decided by who's loudest. It's decided by who the money keeps flowing to, quietly again and again. Read that early, and you're 3 steps ahead. Miss it, and you're catching up after the price already moved. I'm Moon. I obsess over where money actually moves behind the headlines. If daily news leaves you no clearer on where to put your money, hit subscribe. And if this helps, drop a like. Let's go. Florida's press release states Waymo is already running hundreds of thousands of fully autonomous rides in Miami and Orlando, has expanded to autonomous highway driving across South Florida, and has trained Tampa's emergency responders ahead of a fall commercial launch. That's not marketing copy. That's an operational status report from a state government. Waymo is already woven into the administrative machinery, transportation departments, police, emergency responders, all at once, and there's money behind it. In February, Waymo raised $16 billion at a $126 billion valuation. Money becomes infrastructure, infrastructure becomes policy trust, and policy trust pulls in more money. A loop. But that's not the whole story. At the same time, a different kind of money was moving. In July 2025, Uber announced $300 million each into Lucid and self-driving startup Nuro, mounting Nuro's autonomy system on Lucid's Gravity SUV, with at least 20,000 Robotaxis deployed onto Uber's platform over 6 years. Then in April 2026, Uber added another $200 million and expanded the purchase commitment to at least 35,000 vehicles. Not one check, 3. Uber's cumulative investment in Lucid now sits at $500 million. Here's why that matters. Waymo's money comes from one route, Alphabet to Waymo. Uber's is structurally different, a platform company pouring capital into a car maker and a software company at once, while it also partners with Waymo, Baidu, and Volkswagen. Uber doesn't bet on one horse. But out of every partner it has, Lucid is the one it keeps adding money to, 3 times in a row. That's not diversification. That's conviction. 3 hands are steering this market, and none of them is a car company in the traditional sense. Uber owns the platform, not the cars, so the only question that matters is which vehicle stays on the road longest with the least downtime. The Lucid Gravity's EPA range is 450 miles, roughly 720 kilometers. Less charging time means more revenue per vehicle per day. For Uber, that's a unit economics answer, not a styling preference. Nuro builds the brain, nearly a decade spent on nothing but this autonomy stack. Lucid is the hardware, Nuro is the software, Uber is the sales network. Each partner does one thing, and the risk splits 3 ways. And the third hand is the real core, Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund, the PIF. It's funded Lucid since 2018, pouring in roughly $9.5 billion for a 58% stake. That's not a strategic position. That's ownership. And separately, the Saudi government has contracted to buy 50,000 Lucid vehicles outright, with an option for 50,000 more. The fund holds the equity. The nation is also the bulk buyer. This is national strategy, not a passive bet. Now the number from the opening finally gets answered. Lucid's market cap, as of August 2026, roughly $2.6 billion. PIF alone put in $9.5 billion. Run it, and here's the number I've been holding back. The money PIF has already invested is 3.75 times the entire current value of the company. 3.75. Saudi Arabia has already put in enough to buy this company outright with room to spare in one position alone. Which means Saudi Arabia has zero incentive to let it fail. Think about what that actually looks like in real terms. Imagine you put a deposit down on a house, and the deposit alone was already almost 4 times what the house is worth today. You're not walking away from that house. You're going to do whatever it takes to make sure it doesn't collapse. That's exactly the position PIF is in with Lucid, except the numbers are in the billions, and the house is a company building the Robotaxis Uber is betting on. And PIF isn't the only Saudi money in this stock. Uber itself now holds roughly 11.5% of Lucid's equity on top of its cash investments, meaning Uber isn't just a customer writing purchase orders, it's a shareholder with skin in the outcome. Stack that against how volatile this stock has actually been. Lucid did a 1-for-10 reverse split last year. The shares hit a low of $2.37 and then jumped over 20% in a single day this summer after a Saudi prince disclosed his own separate 5% stake. That's not a sleepy utility stock. That's a company where every new disclosure from Riyadh moves the price double digits, and where the deepest pockets in the building keep choosing to stay in, not walk away. Yes, Lucid is still losing money. Now, consensus estimates for Q2 2026 put revenue at roughly $346.7 million, a net loss near $886.3 million, and cash burn around $981 million per quarter. That's real. But recent fundraising pushed liquidity to $4.7 billion, with runway stated well into next year. The losses are real. So is the backstop, and it's state scale. And the pipeline is bigger than the headline number. Lucid's CFO told a conference directly that the 6-year, 20,000-unit Robotaxi deal is just the beginning. Add the Saudi government's 50,000 vehicle order, plus the option for 50,000 more, and the confirmed pipeline already totals at least 70,000 vehicles. To be clear, that's a scenario, not a guarantee, but it's the most compelling one the current data supports. Yes, Waymo is still miles ahead. 3,000 to 6,000 vehicles running 500,000 rides a week, targeting 1 million by year-end, against Lucid Nuro Uber's roughly 100 test vehicles as of March. The scale gap is real, but this isn't about who's bigger today. Well, it's about whose curve is bending steeper. Waymo is already fast. New money just makes it slightly faster. Lucid Nuro Uber is barely out of the gate, and Uber has already added money 3 times before the service has even launched. A flattened curve moves less than a curve just starting to steepen. That's the scenario worth watching, not a guarantee. Here's what actually matters: whether a name shows up in a government filing, whether state-level capital keeps backing it, whether a platform company keeps adding money without being asked. Those are the real signals, not who's loudest on a keynote stage. Government filings, investment disclosures, financial statements, not flashy, but they don't lie. Today, 1 Florida press release, 3 Uber investments, $9.5 billion from a Saudi sovereign fund, and that number I promised you at the start, 3.75. The multiple that tells you exactly who's committed to this company surviving, and exactly why. This channel keeps digging through the money hiding behind every headline. Semiconductors, AI infrastructure, all of it, every week. If you don't want to miss where this flow goes next, subscribe now. If this gave you a new way to look at it, drop a like. Protect and grow what you've built.